Welcome to the latest episode of MCU Mondays here on Geek News Now. As usual, I've got Debbie with me along with David. We have a special guest, another member of the Geek News Now crew, which we all are here today. We got Cam with us from Cam in Focus. Cam, you're our special guest today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and what Cam in Focus is? And if anyone's interested, look in the description of this video and you can find a playlist of all his videos. But Cam, tell us about it.
Well, Cam in Focus is basically a series of videos in which I discuss, geeky films and topics about those films that, might enhance the viewing experience, maybe change how you look at the film. My last video was basically a general review of The Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf. It's a new, they call it anime, but I don't really think it's anime. But it's animated prequel film to the Witcher series, and I take a few minutes to discuss that and check it out if you haven't.
All right, and you can see it right there. That's the playlist. There's a link to it down below, but you can see all the different Cam in Focuses. The longer ones, he dissects films, tells us all about them. Love that. He also has his 60-second suggestions, which are very quick. In literally a minute, he tells you every reason why you should be checking out the thing that you don't know about.
Except for Artemis Fowl. He didn't like that one.
Well, no, that was not a suggestion. That was one where he dissected it. And with that, he dissected that with vigor and relish, okay? He took that corpse and he just ripped it wide open, okay? That was one of the funniest ones ever, by the way. So, and they're not like humorous. I'm not saying that they're all humorous, but that one definitely was.
That one was hilarious.
Yeah. That one was spot on, though.
Yeah,
we had a lot of fun with that one.
I feel cursed after watching that movie, to be honest with you. But
well, we're glad to have you with us today as we talk about What If Episode 4, which is all about Doctor Strange. And later we're going to be talking about Shang-Chi. I know that not everyone's going to stick around for that because they don't want spoilers, but that's fine. That's why we're starting off with What If Episode 4, which was all about Doctor Strange. So, Cam, what did you think of this episode?
Wow, what a downer of an episode. Like every episode so far has had some kind of ending that leaves you on like a bittersweet note. You know, like the T'Challa episode, for example, it ends with Ego finding Peter Quill, and you're just like, oh well, say goodbye to that universe. But yeah, the way that they ended this particular episode, it was very somber, and it was unexpected, to be honest with you. I thought that they were going to have some kind of, at least somewhat positive of a conclusion, but this one really felt like a punch to the gut.
Well, I think it was interesting. I mean, I want to actually talk about some of the earlier stuff before I get into the ending. Right, I agree with you. I've seen that overall consensus a lot on this one. A lot of people are saying it's the best one so far, and a lot of other people are saying, like, dude, what? That was just like crushing because, the beginning of this episode does start out with a very repetitive sequence of him going back in time, trying to stop the car crash, because in this universe, the car crash doesn't get rid of his hands or make his hands crippled. It kills Christine. And so now he's beaten Dormammu in this universe, but he's haunted by like not being able to save her. So they go through over and over and over, and the car crash. And I noticed this, I appreciated it. You know how they take things directly from the movie. The way that the car crashed is like almost exactly the same, except that she's in it this time, and she ends up dead. But what did you think of that? Because that kind of says that there's more differences in this universe than just her being in the car. Like, their relationship seemed a whole lot stronger there than it did in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I was
movie.
When I'm watching these episodes, sometimes it's like I forget that they're in a different universe, because when I first started watching this one, I was like, oh, wait a minute, they didn't have that great of a relationship. I mean, there's a lot of banter, but I didn't feel the well, I guess from her, she had kind of adored Steven, but he was just pretty much aloof about her. So I just never got the romantic connection between them like they are in the What If episode. So I had to think about it a couple times before I realized, oh yeah, this is a different universe. So yeah, it was definitely different, and the episode as a whole was very, very dark.
See, because the episode starts with him losing her, and that means that their connection was much stronger there. Not to say that they didn't have one in the originals. After all, she is in the movie. She's the one that helps nurse him back to health and keeps trying to inspire him with this confidence. But he's thinking that without his hands, now he's completely ruined. And speaking of the original movie, if you have a chance, go to our YouTube page and check out the Doctor Strange music video, Super Unknown. It uses all scenes from the original music video, and it's totally, or from the original movie, and it's totally awesome. And while I say that, these are things that this Doctor Strange went through too. Like seeing Dormammu, doing all that stuff. He beat them and then tried to go, and that's like a big theme in this, is that he's trying to change a fixed point in time. And that was supposedly impossible. So we talked about this a little bit last week, that this was going to be the episode with Doctor Strange, that it was possibly to cross over with others, and it didn't necessarily. We could talk about the Watcher at the end, but one of the big things it did do was actually set the stage for Spider-Man in a way, because we saw in the trailer for Spider-Man, they're talking about tampering with the multiverse. And that's exactly almost what this guy does. He doesn't tamper with the multiverse. He tampers with time. But even at the end of it, Cam, you were talking about it, he's like in this gem almost. This might not be the last we see of this evil Doctor Strange. But he was trying to get enough power to change what's called a fixed point in time. And I think that's the first time we've really heard about something like that. Did they talk about that in Endgame?
I don't know if they talked about it in Endgame.
They might have said something about it in Loki. They did. Actually,
I was going to say, because I hearkened back to Loki, to where, and really I found it very strange, because when something happens, like in Loki, he goes, something happens and he changes the timeline, and all of a sudden he becomes a variant. Mm-hmm. He's a variant, and you tried to change the timeline, and we had to go in and fix it. Yet when this particular timeline, when this particular Doctor Strange does it, it's not like he can change it and all of a sudden he becomes a variant. It's like he can't change it. That is a locked, fixed, that if his timeline. Of his timeline. Right. So it was a completely different. I mean, it's this mind stretching. Doctor Strange
isn't aware necessarily of the multiverse. This Doctor Strange, he isn't delving into that stuff. He's trying to change his timeline, because another way that I was thinking he could go around it was to go to a variant of her. Now he might not, or a different, multiverse point. And I think that's why they had to wait until this point to start telling these stories, like literally until Loki, and that they've now created the branching in the timeline, because otherwise this multiverse wouldn't happen. And you just have the TVA there shutting down anything, anywhere, whatever. But this is something completely away from that now. Now the multiverse exists, and we can take any tangent to wherever it would go. But it's still pretty interesting that even the Sorcerer Supreme has that much trouble now with this new thing called fixed points in time. And we can see that him trying to change one of these points completely destroyed the entire timeline. Do you think definitely. Do you think that's setting the stage for some of the themes we're going to be seeing in Spider-Man? The idea of tampering with these.
I think yes, but I don't know quite on. I don't know quite the scale that they're going to be going for. Because with Doctor Strange and with discussing topics like the multiverse, they have basically free reign to go as far and as wild as they could possibly want to. So it just makes you wonder how far they're going to take this idea that they're running with, because at the end of the Doctor Strange episode, that entire universe is gone. All that's left is him trapped in that shield or cocoon that he built around himself as the universe was closing in on him. that's all that's left. And so it makes you wonder if they do bring back that particular variation of Doctor Strange. It makes you wonder how they're going to bring him back, how they're going to, involve him in these events. And to be honest, with Multiverse of Madness and with, the upcoming Spider-Man film, I don't know that they're going to, because that would be a huge leap in my opinion. I think that these what if stories are meant to be like one and done. That's going to be it.
It could be, and he definitely could just be an offshoot. But as far as where he could be used in something live action, I mean, in this episode, I think a lot of people were expecting during the fight when it finally got down to like evil Doctor Strange versus good Doctor Strange. I think a lot of people were expecting good Doctor Strange to come out on top. He loses. Evil Doctor Strange wins, and this is what happens when the evil Doctor Strange wins, is like it all comes down to this, and that's like, what if Doctor Strange went evil and blah 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 destroyed a timeline.
I think it was also there, the way that they ended it was also there to prove a point, because the Watcher has said in every episode, I don't interfere, I just watch, I'm a watcher. And in this one, Strange knew he was there. He was talking to him. He's like, hey, I know you're here. I can sense you. I see you. You got to help me. And he's like, what do you want me to do? What do you want? You made these choices. It's your bed. You made it. And now you can lay in it. And I had nothing to do with it, good or evil. I mean, he kind of came off as a dick, but
that's all
he was teaching a lesson.
Dude, they're a watcher. It's like the peeping Tom of the universe. Ooh, what's going on over there? You shouldn't be watching this.
They're like historians of a sort. They just watch things unfold. They can't interfere, or they won't interfere.
And I think that was a power on the same level as like Celestials and things like that. And there was like a war at some point in the comics between them and the Celestials, which is even more interesting because the Watchers don't do anything. So it's like, but they are kind of insisting that like also others don't do anything of that level. But then how do you enforce that? You can't. So it's like a kind of a conundrum for their entire thing. It's like, and also the whole scientific principle of by observing something, you have changed it. So they've literally done experiments where like, when no one was observing this, it's a different property than when someone's watching it. So the whole Watcher thing, and he asked that thing for help, but it's like your choices left you all to this, like all your decisions led to this. You had chances of turning back. You could have stopped at any point. You didn't, and now that you're just overcome, you're reaching out for anything at all, and that's part of what led you to this. It's just grasping at whatever you think will work. That's not how it works, really, And I'm surprised those powers didn't completely take him over even more. It certainly seemed to change his personality, but I was kind of expecting him to go one too far, and it's like, oh, Mephisto's actually just evil Doctor Strange.
There's a couple times I thought that, because I was just like, holy hell, is that where we're going?
Yeah, because he's eating demons and then looking pretty demonish.
Mm-hmm. And for my next trick, I will absorb Satan. Thereby becoming Mephisto.
My theories come true.
He does even go so far as to eat like that Cthulhu monster's tentacles, which is also a connection back to that Captain Marvel what if that we saw earlier. He uses
Captain Carter,
right? One of the captains, the women captains.
The
British one.
Somebody shared something a little while ago, and I wish I had saved it because I can't find it anymore. It's a picture of Chris Tucker from Rush Hour, with Captain Carter's head on his body, with the caption Captain Carter. It's like Carter, Rush Hour. That's awesome.
Carter.
So, do you think there might be any connection with this version to maybe a similar version in the Spider-Man movie? Because
that's what I was gonna say.
Because it doesn't seem like that's the right.
I wouldn't say it's gonna be this guy specifically.
No, but I'm just saying. I just wonder if it's.
But it could be also, because how many things did he absorb? How many powers? How many different things? And if he is truly just alone in this little gem in his little pocket dimension that he created, and he finds a way to other timelines, and he could be a very extremely dangerous individual, if that's even a possibility. But I don't think in this episode we didn't see him die. Like, we saw the universe destroyed and everything, and then the last thing he does is kind of create this like crystallized matrix around him, and then Christine dies in there, but the episode just kind of ends. Just
did he right still there. Have the Eye of Agamotto by the end of it?
Yeah, he did. I'm pretty sure. I don't see why he wouldn't have, because both he and the other Doctor Strange, which, like, that was a whole thing too. You're two parts of the same Doctor Strange, and you're a ghost. I'm a echo of a blah 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 convenience plot device is what I am.
Yeah.
They ripped it off from Star Wars. It was the Force Ghost.
Yeah, it's definitely a Force Ghost, but they're like, well, we can't do that, even though we can because we own it. We're Disney. But they do a very quick, like, explain it away in dialogue. How can you be here? Because I'm here. Oh,
yeah. No, it's
okay.
It's just Obi-Wan Kenobi showing up at the wrong studio. You will go to the Dagobah system. What?
Who the heck are you? Well, you're gonna find that a great many things that you believe in will depend on your point of view. What if? I thought it was funny that evil Doctor Strange got such a evil cloak, like, immediately. They're like, how will we be able to tell which one is which? Give that one a pointy cowl.
Give that one something sharp looking.
Yeah.
Well, it also had some kind of a weird design on the back of it too.
Well, he took it from a bug. There was like a bug wearing a cape early on.
He said, yeah, that looks nice. I'll take that. And then he ate him.
He didn't eat the bug, though. He said, I draw the line of bugs. But then later...
Yeah, you're right.
But then later, he becomes so corrupted, I guess he doesn't care, because he's like, tentacles? Bring it on. Or maybe he considers that like sushi at that point. I don't know. But he's like, no bugs. And then he's like, double-headed demon goat hounds. Yum, yum. And it's like, what? But no bugs. Okay. This guy. Do you think we'll be seeing this incarnation of Doctor Strange again?
Maybe I would say probably within What If. Here, I think this is one of the issues you're going to run into is if you take this incarnation of Doctor Strange and throw him into Spider-Man, maybe not so much the Multiverse of Madness, but if you throw him in the next Spider-Man movie, there is going to be an entire section of fans of the MCU that are going to go, what the crap? Where did this come from? And then they're going to go, oh, well, you didn't see What If. And it was like, no, I don't have Disney Plus. I didn't see any of that. And they're like, well, then you're missing. And then they're going to get all pissed off because it's like, I'm missing half the story because I don't want to buy Disney Plus, or, for whatever reason, I can't afford Disney Plus, or I just don't have Disney Plus, or whatever. And so it's the same thing that happened back in the early 90s with Star Wars. You had the expanded universe coming out, and you had books coming out all the time, comic books and everything tied together. And when you had one series of books that talked about the clone emperor and he returned and ravaged Coruscant and blah 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 blah, and people are reading the books are going, when did that happen? Did I miss something? And it was like, yeah, you got to read the Dark Empire comic book series.
No, that was in Dark Empire. Of course,
that was in Dark Empire.
And they're like caught up because I read all of it.
Yeah, but then you had a whole section of the fan base going, why is this not included? I needed this. This was information that I wasn't akin to, because that's not part of the fan base that I want to deal with.
Well, and I would say that's a situation more similar to when it was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Netflix shows and all kinds of stuff. What they have now is very much past that, because the stuff with the EU, even fans of that knew that it wasn't like canon within the movie universe and stuff like that. It's like a second layer of canon. And there's like, but as far as the MCU goes, that was a similar situation that they did have going there. You had movies coming out and you had shows that connected to them. And by connected, I mean like that thing that happened in New York. That they would say something like that in dialogue and they're like, see, it's connected. And I'm like, is it though? No, not really. It's not.
No, not now. They had the ones.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was more so.
I was going to say, yeah.
The Netflix one's not even close. And the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing even that had stuff. I'm rewatching now. They had Inhuman stuff that had nothing to do with the MCU, and nothing to do with even like the Inhuman show that ended up bombing. And that was another ABC thing that they were and that was all when ABC had, and now it's all that's why they stopped production on all those other properties that were on like ABC and Netflix. They said, no, we're not doing those anymore, so that we can have our official MCU timeline. If you're watching it and it's coming out on Disney Plus, it's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, do you have to watch Loki to watch Shang-Chi? Probably not. No, you don't. But if you want to have all the connecting, you want to connect every single dot, here's how you do it. You get Disney Plus. And that's what they're trying to do, is simplify that canon down to one. But with the multiverse thing, they can also say, and anything that happened over there was... They got...
It's like I can play the video game and I can play through the story and complete the video game, but it's only like 57% done. I can go through and do all the side missions and get it 100% done. They're not necessarily necessary to the story.
Lore and story and background, but not necessarily something that you need to come into like some of the standalone things. But we'll get into that a little bit later, how even the standalones now are becoming even more and more building blocks for other things. Nothing stands on its own anymore. But the what if thing actually even relies incredibly on you knowing other MCU films. The first one relied on you knowing the story of Captain America. That's why they could shoot through things so fast. Remember when Captain America did this? Well, now it's her. Remember when this happened on the train? Well, it didn't in this, and now it's, and you know but it's not so much relying on it that you couldn't possibly follow it without having seen this. But if you have, you're like, oh, dude, that's the ooh, wow, ooh. It's a delicate balance to try and walk, to try and keep, because it's also hard to keep people like paying for the dots that are connecting everything if they're not vital. You know, if it's not that important, then maybe I'll just go see the movies. Well, what about all those shows? It's like, well, it's
not important.
However many dollars a year that I don't care about.
It's not important, but if you want a more in-depth experience with the characters and the storyline, that's where you go back and watch the other shows. But if you don't care about having in-depth knowledge, then you can just watch the movies. So
I think what it really comes down to is what kind of audience you are. Because like a lot of people watch, things like the Marvel films and things like, Star Wars and stuff like that. A lot of people watch it just for the excitement, the action, the spectacle, the battles and stuff like that. But then there's also the opposite side of that spectrum who want to watch these things for the characters. They want to watch it for the drama. They want to watch it for the the various character arcs that are on display there. And, it's somebody who watches the MCU just for the action, the spectacle, all that. They're not going to care so much about, oh, well, I got to make sure I'm up to date on where Bucky's character is at in Falcon and Winter Soldier. They just, even if they do watch it, they're not watching it for that. They're watching it because they want to see the Winter Soldier kick some ass. So, yep. In the end, that's really what it kind of comes down to.
And what Cam has just described, there's a difference between, and it's black and white, people, a true fan and a filthy casual.
Dan, all right, let me ask you this one time. What master do you serve?
What master do I serve? What am I supposed to say, Jesus?
Are you a true fan? Do you know everything? Or do you just enjoy yourself at the movies like some sort of enjoyer? No, I have to torment myself over every question.
I don't know where I would fall because I watch the movies, I watch the shows. I don't read the comics, but if something comes up in the shows or the movies, I do a little research to kind of get an idea of what's going on or what the character's about. But I don't know. I fall between casual and...
Sure, yeah. I was kidding, of course, when I said it was an obvious black
super fan.
That was, yeah. It's, wow.
I'm gray area. I'm gray Jedi.
He's a great Jedi.
Who knows? Yeah, it's shades of gray. Everything is. It's not, and
it's
maybe
not 50
you
Shades of Gray, is it?
And maybe you don't like every single movie. You don't have to I love every single thing that ever comes out. It's like, nah,
nope. I think we've discussed this before too. There's no movie out there that's perfect. Right. Nothing is perfect. There has not been a perfect movie made yet that I know of.
Yeah, Citizen Kane.
Now, in whatever year this is, the audience wants action and seats with beverage holders, but mainly action.
I see. I wouldn't even call Citizen Kane. I really wouldn't.
No, I mean,
everything's got something wrong.
It's a common film brought up when talking about perfect movies.
It's either Citizen Kane or The Godfather. Those are the two perfect movies that are always. It was. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, everything's got something wrong with it. There are parts of every Star Wars movie, all 9, 10, 11 of them, that have been made. Even the Ewok adventure movies. Well, I'll go so far as to include those.
What?
Yeah,
those were transcendent. You would call those masterpieces imperfect?
But I mean,
you've gone too far.
I mean, even to say that there are parts of Empire that I just didn't like, and there's not a perfect movie. You're not going to find a perfect within the MCU. They're just not a perfect movie. I mean, they're great, and I like some of them more than I like others.
It's entirely subjective in that. If it's like your opinion on a movie, I just literally saw someone, it was GameStop. They put out a score for Dune and they gave it a perfect 10. And then they said, like, they listed the good and the bad and they gave it a perfect 10. But then in the bad column, they're like, it portrayed some typical white savior tropes. And I was like, then how'd you give it a perfect score? If you believe that there's anything wrong with it, why did you give it a perfect score? And that's just like the fault of human idiocy, like not understanding how to review a movie. Did you not like something about it? Then I don't think it's perfect. Or it's perfect, but I have a personal problem with it, and it's this. And it's like, now we're getting on so many different levels. It's like,
then it's not perfect. Perfect means everybody loves it for everything that it is.
Just like Iron Man 2.
I'm talking about.
That's what I'm
most
talking
important
about.
Movie.
Iron Man 2. I really think you mean the beginning of episode 3 of What If, because that's how I'm seeing it now.
Oh man, there's actually even more to come with that, because I know that what's his face from Black Panther, Killmonger. I say Warmonger. No, it's Killmonger. Is supposed to be in one of these other ones with Tony Stark, so I'm definitely interested to see where that's going now that you brought that up. What if? Yeah. And I want to see some of these things cross over, but even if they don't, I'm still zombies.
I want the zombies. I want the zombies.
Yeah, definitely. I think that if What If was going to continue the story of any of their episodes, I think that there'd be some kind of continuation in like a possible season 2.
They're definitely doing a season 2.
Yeah, there is a season 2.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, for episode 1, for example, I was curious to see like how, Captain Carter, how her story would have ended up, after having, jumped 70 years into the future, because at first I was thinking that maybe What If was going to end up becoming like the stepping stones for a new ensemble of, Avengers, like an alternate universe Avengers team up in some way. But now it's not really seeming like that anymore. So if they do continue any of their stories, I think that it'll be in season 2.
We've seen hints in trailers, usually just quick flashes, but we've seen
like
the Black Panther Star-Lord that we had. We saw him next to a couple of it was like an Avengers spin scene from the first movie where they show all the Avengers in New York. It was like that, but with him, and I don't know if Nebula was there.
I don't recall.
Yeah, Gamora was.
Gamora was there, and she had Thanos' double-bladed sword with her, and so it was like a different New York team up. And so that's why I'm thinking, yes, some of these things are going to come to intersect again. And I think someone else mentioned having seen Peggy Carter as Captain somewhere in another thing. So I
With
definitely
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, so I think there's more potential for something to be happening there. And again, maybe it's not crossovers necessarily, but with What If, the infinite timelines, although frankly, it would be cooler to see some of these things intersect than just have like literally they're all just completely different. But the Loki one, for instance, episode 3, they set that up. Like that's even called like What If Loki Ruled the Earth? And that's what happens at the end. You know, so like and they're literally unthawing Captain America and tease Captain Marvel in the background. So I have to imagine, even if they're not going to be crossing over, which I still think they will, they're definitely going to be continuing some of these stories, which I'm totally there for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the What If series, again, this is my opinion. I'm Cam, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the series overall, but like my kind of thoughts on it is it's nothing like groundbreaking. It's partially just to get people, the general audience that's not huge geeks, like to understand multiverse theory, kind of just get them more comfortable with this, like, look, there's other stories out there kind of deal. But it's nothing like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's basically just like if you had one of those like choose your own adventure books, and instead of like going the way that it's supposed to go, you just picked a different path. But it's fun, it's entertaining, but it's not like this is the best thing I've ever seen. You know? What do you think of it so far?
Sure. You know, I kind of agree. You know, it's not essential viewing by any means, but I definitely appreciate it for what it is. You know, the art style really grew on me. I really appreciate that they brought back, you know, a pretty good majority of the original actors to reprise their roles as their characters. And it's if nothing else, it's definitely interesting to see, you know, characters that we already know and appreciate get taken in a different direction. You know, because it's like Black Panther, for example. It's nice to see, you know, his story, you know, within the confines of the MCU films. But then, you know, when you get to his episode and it shows you a completely different side to his character. You know, like what if he grew up with such a radically different upbringing that he basically became an entirely different person? It gives you a more, well, I wouldn't necessarily say a more well-rounded view of their character, but it gives you a different side of their character, and it kind of I'm not quite sure how else to phrase this. It kind of tickles the imagination, so to speak.
Yeah,
you know, because
like, if playing hypotheticals.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
What would happen if? You know, like even when you're a kid and you're like, all right, I'm Thanos, you're Captain America. Go.
It's
you're screwed.
It's almost like the like a Tuesday morning armchair quarterback. They're like, oh, well, I wouldn't have run that play. I would have done it this way. And this is showing, okay, well, if you had run it this way, this is exactly what would have happened.
Well, if just something slightly different had occurred. What'd you guys think of Wong putting that protection spell on Doctor Strange? I saw a comment online.
I saw that, and all I could think of was the Dark Universe Mummy reboot with the female mummy that has the runes on her face.
I was like, isn't this guy like the Sorcerer Supreme?
I like
how somebody else cast a spell on your face.
As he got hit and damaged, if you will, the runes kind of flew away just a little bit at a time.
Started coming off his face. Well, that's actually one of the things I found most hilarious about it, because evil Doctor Strange kept shooting magic at him and stuff, and he'd be like deflecting, skills, blah blah blah, and then he gets punched in the face and the spell starts coming off. And I was like, oh well, there you go, sock him in the jaw. That'll take care of that mystical defense. What?
Yeah, someone should take a clip of that and just like
Kenobi. Sorry.
Dub over the Sock 'em Boppers commercial. You know, as you're getting punched in the face, all you hear is Sock 'em Boppers.
It's more fun than a pillow fight. Mystical enchantments don't stop it at all. You are engaged in a Sorcerer Supreme's brawl. sock and poppers. All right, so I started coming up with a theme song immediately. I don't know why I have that habit. Oh, it was nice to see Wong again, though. Any other thoughts on this episode that you want to bring up, talk about, anything at all? There, we haven't even talked about like the library that he went to, the mystical. While the other half of him, I guess, was time stasis. Oh no, wait, that guy that he met. Which, first of all, that's strange clothes you're wearing. Armani. He's like, okay, Sorcerer Armani. It's strange, actually. No more than any other name in these parts, which is a great callback to, it's like, it's Doctor, actually. Mr. Doctor. Actually, it's strange. Not really.
All I could think of was, we're using our made-up names. Well, I'm Spider-Man, then.
Not Spider-Man, Spider. Okay. But yeah, we had this library that he goes to, and I thought it was crazy, kind of like how fast he got there, because he was literally talking about how the knowledge was lost. He was talking about that to the Ancient One, and then she shoots a beam at him, which at that point we're thinking it's going to kill him. But he puts up a shield, and then later she tells him, I split you into two people. One of you apparently went to this secret temple of crazy knowledge and just immediately started doing whatever. I found and then he's like, you were frozen in time while you were there, while the other guy was just not. And then the Ancient One, I was like, Ancient One, you set this up, right? How did you think that regular old Doctor Strange with no prep time is going to beat evil Doctor Strange? Tons of demons.
Thousands of years worth of prep time.
Shitty plan, Force Ghost. Okay.
Tiff, we have a conundrum.
It just doesn't seem like the best plan you could have come up if you have the ability to do stuff like that still, even though you shouldn't. I guess she shouldn't exist. I don't know, because that's a part past it. I guess since he was affecting a point in time while she was still alive, that she could come back and do stuff, because that car crash was while she was still alive. So, but then again, why split it and then send one half of this guy who is trying to do the most dangerous thing ever to the place where he can achieve the means to do the most dangerous thing ever? That seems like a terrible plan. I blame the Ancient One. Okay, decided right now. For this universe, I'm not mad at Doctor Strange. I'm definitely mad at the Ancient One. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it kind of brings into question her speech to the Hulk of if I protect your universe, I'm dooming my own. It's like, oh well, okay, well, nice follow through on that one, because it looks like you couldn't quite make up your mind.
Protect your reality. Do you? Or do you send people exactly to the single most dangerous place that they could be sent? All right. You know what? You're getting too powerful, Doctor Strange. We don't want you upsetting the balance of our timeline by being able to affect this. So I'm going to send you to the library with the hidden books where you can find out how to do that. Wait, what was my plan again? 1 and 1. No, why is the universe ending? Oh, well.
Well, I screwed up. Oopsie, that's my bad.
And that's a caretaker of the whole place who's napping or whatever. He that guy grows old and dies while Doctor Strange is absorbing all these demons. And he's like, well, you've been frozen in time. And I was just like, but you haven't? Aren't you at the same place right now?
Different dimension.
And the whole thing is, every time I have a question like that and all these things don't add up, you just go, well, it's magic.
It's magic.
A wizard. If there's any questions like that, a wizard did it. I mean, a sorcerer. A sorcerer did it.
It's the Force.
It's the Force.
A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins.
Boop. Yeah, there's that cape is so sinister. Like, as soon as he puts it on, you're like, oh, well.
Well, he's going to be a bad guy.
That's it for this guy, I guess.
My name is no longer Strange. Too. It is now Sinestro.
Mephisto confirmed.
Oh, yep, there it is.
Fire
and horns and the cape and
the cape really is what does it. So anyway, that's the What If Doctor Strange. I think we're going to move on now because we've been talking about that for quite a while. It's a wonderful subject, though, what with Doctor Strange coming up and Spider-Man coming up with Doctor Strange in it and so much happening. I mean, once you start talking about that, it just opens up a multiverse of possibilities. So we spent an appropriate length of time on it. That being said, we're going to get into Shang-Chi now. And Cam, I believe, doesn't want spoilers.
Yep, I haven't gotten around to seeing it yet, so unfortunately I can't stay for that. But
what?
I will. Yeah, sorry. I know I'm terrible.
Cam's Mephisto. Mephisto confirmed.
Oh yes, definitely. The downfall of the MCU is my fault. I take responsibility ahead of time.
You heard it here first, folks.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me, Chris. You guys all have a good night, and I'll be seeing you.
Hi,
Glad you can make it. Don't forget, you can check out Cam in Focus by checking out the playlist below or just going to the Geek News Now YouTube page, and it's one of the big playlists down there, Cam in Focus. Definitely check it out.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Later. Now then, let's talk about Shang-Chi. What did you think? Debbie, you didn't want to have to go to the movie theater.
I put it off all weekend.
When was the last time that you'd been to a movie theater? Actually, both of you all asked that question.
I saw Black Widow. Yeah, it was like the weekend after it released. So
well, I know Debbie didn't. So Debbie, when was the last time you were in theaters?
I'm trying to think. Probably
over a year ago sometime.
Oh, way over a year. Probably what the last Jurassic movie.
Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah. Did that come out before or after Endgame?
I think before Endgame. I want to say before because I think Endgame came out in it was 2019 for Endgame, and it was right toward the end of the year.
If it wasn't Fallen Kingdom, then it was definitely Endgame.
Fallen Kingdom was 2018.
Okay, so Endgame would have been in 2000. In fact, I think Endgame may have been May of 2019.
Yeah.
Oh wait, was there a Star Wars movie?
Last Jedi was December of 2009. No, not Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker was December 2019.
That was probably the last movie I seen because I had because we had just moved and that was probably that because me and my youngest son went and seen it, so that was probably the last movie.
Oh, Rise of Skywalker. Well, what are you gonna do? So what was it? Going back to the theater, I know you didn't want to. Did you like seeing a movie on the big screen again? Was that a draw for you, or you couldn't care less? Like, would you have been?
I really couldn't. Yeah, I really couldn't care less. Sometimes movies give me headaches, especially 3D. I quit seeing 3D years ago because
oh god, well
I think the last Into Darkness was probably the last movie I seen in 3D, and I had such a massive headache after that one. I just prefer not to see it, but I just prefer being in the comfort of my home. I can pause it if I have to go to the restroom or fix popcorn or go smoke a cigarette or whatever.
That's why you do a bladder check before you even start the movie.
Yeah, but if I'm drinking a pop, and I'm old, so therefore my bladder doesn't last as long as it used to. I even tried to look to see if it was at a drive-in, but it wasn't around here. But
So for you, it's more about convenience and comfort of yourself rather than, some people, they've got to have the big screen experience, the movie surround sound, which is all stuff they're improving. Actually, the history of surround sound is pretty interesting, and they're upgrading that even more so that the sounds come from like above you as well as the sides and the whole putting you into the setting of the film. And I think David's one of those people. Would you say, David, that you like to have the big screen experience?
Oh, heck yeah. Love it. I love going into the theater. I love the big screen and being able to see everything twice normal size. I love the sound that comes out. I love the smell of the popcorn. As you're eating popcorn and drinking your Coke, not soda, Coke. You're drinking your Coke. Different regions, different
regional dialects.
There you go. So, but I mean, for me, it's a full on all five senses immersive experience going to the theater, and that's what I enjoy about it.
Yeah, I don't mind that, and I do like that experience, but people get on my nerves. Today wasn't bad because there's probably maybe 10 of us in the whole theater, but when it's packed, crowded, people get on my nerves because they're rude. They don't know movie etiquette, like shut the hell up, or they bring their 2-month-old baby who is screaming and I can't hear anything. That ticks me off.
I've only run into that once, and I think Luke and I went to go see Ragnarok for like the third or fourth time, and there were two girls in there with their phones out, and they were playing on their phones, and not just playing on but yakking back and forth with each other. Yeah. And somebody went and complained and got them kicked out, and it was amazing. But other than that, my theater experiences are usually fairly not bad.
Probably in between. There's some things I like to see on the big screen. Other times I couldn't care less, since I've got a good setup myself specifically for watching things in the comfort of my own here. But that's also partially because I spend hours and hours and hours like editing stuff, and so I need to have it on my computer anyway in the first place to even get to that. So that's partially because of that. There's also a big part of me that does love going to the movies and getting that whole experience. But then again, like Debbie said, like there's people out there. So Debbie, you said today you went to saw it today. It wasn't that crowded.
No, there's like 10 of us, which is,
and David,
it wasn't my plan originally because I thought, well, I'll go Saturday, and then I kept putting it off to Sunday, and then I was like, crap, I have to go see it today. Then I was hoping with it being a holiday that people would be at the lakes and whatnot. So yeah, there's maybe 10 people in the theater, which I was thrilled about. So
shout out to Johnny. Johnny gets it. Them dang whippersnappers and their modern tech and their flying machines. Yeah.
Damn straight.
Hey, what was the purpose of life anyway?
Who knows? Probably some hogwash about the human spirit.
So yes, but okay. So movie theater. Well, David, actually, when did you see it, and how crowded was your theater?
So Luke and I went Friday night. My wife said I had to wait until the youngest was in bed. The only time that we could find one where we had where it had the seats that we wanted, unless you wanted to sit in the front 2 rows, which we don't like doing, but where it had the seats that we wanted was like, I think it was like 9:55. So Friday night at 9:55, we rolled into the theater and got done at and people, when we first got there was maybe like 2 people in the theater, but more rolled in. I mean, it wasn't a very big theater where we were, so I think we had like 30 or 40 people in there.
Yeah.
I was honestly surprised too, people knowing that it's a Marvel movie and the amount of them that got up when the credits started rolling. And yes! the ones that did stay, there was the mid-credit scene, and they stayed for the mid-credit scene, and then when the mid-credit scene, they left, and it was like, there's going to be something else. Come on. It's a Marvel movie. You got to stay all the way through.
Yeah.
Oh, and I couldn't.
What? 5 more minutes of my time? No way.
It's only 12:30. Come on.
I'm so used to speeding through all that, the credits, to get to the extra scenes, that I thought I was going to die today, because I was like, those credits just kept rolling and rolling.
So spoiled. It's thanks to those people that you even had a movie to watch, damn
it.
This movie supported thousands of jobs.
They could have rolled them a little faster. I mean, nobody reads all that anyways. You can't pick out a specific person. So
no, what you're supposed to do is play a game is looking for the funniest names. Although probably today someone is going to, that is offensive that you would make fun of my name. That's my name. Excuse me. Why? How would you dare use that voice to say you're trying to make me say? Blah, blah, blah.
Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to exit the donut.
So yeah, you just play the game with find the funniest names.
Luke's big game is finding where it says film or not filmed, but sound edited or something edited. ILM Skywalker Ranch of Division. He's looking for
Industrial
Lucasfilm.
Light and Magic.
Yeah, he's looking for either ILM or Skywalker Sound or Lucasfilm.
Who's they?
Well, they still are the best in the business. So.
Of course. Cutting edge.
Industrial Light and Magic. That's so awesome and it's so true. I mean, so much of movies is about lighting and then literally movie magic. I mean, what a great name. And still are the best in the business. Again, I remember seeing the Star Wars films, and you know how I feel about the newest ones. But I can't even say anything bad about like the special effects. I even when I was watching Endgame, I'm sitting there watching Endgame, and I'm like, The Last Jedi had better special effects than this. And I'm like really wondering, like, did I just say that? Oh no! It's like, yeah, well, you gotta call them like you see them, and for real, they did the best work in the business. Speaking of which, Shang-Chi, we have Shang-Chi to actually talk about it. Thoughts on the movie itself? Hit me.
I thought it was beautiful. If anything, it was just pretty to look at. It was the story was good. The characters were captivating. The fight sequences were remarkably well choreographed. The flow of it was just great. I mean, it moved, next, and it just kept your attention through the whole thing. It was a great movie. It wasn't my favorite of the Marvel movies, but I would say probably top 10, maybe even top 5.
Debbie, overall?
Good movie. Great special effects. I loved all the fight scenes. Kind of strayed from the comics from what I could tell a little bit. Name change, which I didn't understand the name change at all, but I guess it was culturally.
Which name change you're referring to?
I believe his father's
name was Fu Manchu, yeah. And I did read something on that, and yes, and actually they changed it. They changed it in the comics. I think I read like back in the 90s is when they changed it because, like you said, it was culturally offensive, and they changed it to, whatever it is right now. So it was changed. It was changed a while back.
And also, I mean, like his father, even Fu Manchu, wasn't the Mandarin. That was just his father. Like his father wasn't the Mandarin in the comics. He didn't have the 10 rings in the comics. The Mandarin had the 10 rings, and then Shang-Chi was over here. And Shang-Chi was just really like a master martial artist. Now in this, they've given him some more like mystical, magical background. How did you feel that played into the story? Like, did you think, especially considering like the MCU and what's led up to it, did this seem to be more of like on a level with Doctor Strange? And I had literal comparisons to that movie, like literally with Wong being there. But is this like one, this is heading towards that more mystical side of things, whereas in the original MCU was all technology, and sometimes technology they didn't understand, which they referred to as magic, but it was still like technology, very technologically based. except for Doctor Strange. Now in this, what would you say about this one?
I don't know, because like we were talking about the end scenes, they had the one end scene where they were looking at it and they go, well, we don't even know what these are. And Captain Marvel was there, and she's saying, spoilers, by the way, if you haven't, spoilers, hello. But Captain Marvel was there. She's like, I've never seen anything like this. And Banner was there, and he goes, they're not, nothing on Earth. We don't know where they came from. So,
and it seems like they've sent out a signal,
right? And so I think it's kind of, what was the line in the first Thor movie where he told her? He said, you call it magic and we call it science,
and it's sufficiently advanced science to the uninitiated looks like magic.
Right.
Is essentially that whole thing. So yeah, it is also on that level, because in the comics, even these magic rings came from, and they're actually inhabited by the souls of this dragon-like alien race. So it may be calling out to more of them. We'll see.
So I got to ask now, because you're the one that's been bringing this up. What were your thoughts on the rings and how they reacted?
So if you remember, like, one of my big complaints was that they're not the finger rings. I didn't care as much about that, but I was more upset again that they didn't have that each of those individual powers. But if you remember, I said this is his origin story. He doesn't even have the rings at the beginning, so maybe like this is a setup for something to come later. And it definitely seemed like he could do more with them than Wenwu could, and he has the potential to learn more about them. They're like, we don't know what these are, so there's potential that they're setting up. So,
well, and to something else that I noticed about it was in the previews, it looked like it was just what you said, where you're shooting lasers, and that's basically all it can do. But if you watched, I mean, he used them, he'd shoot them out, and they were like stepping stones and flying things, and he was doing all kinds of different things with these rings other than, I'm just going to shoot you.
Yes. Yeah, I was glad to see that too.
I kind of got the impression it was because he was mixing up what he learned from his father and what he learned, from his mother, even though he didn't get a whole lot of training from her, but just enough to where he could change up how he used the rings, as you said, as stepping stones or all the other crazy stuff he was doing with them. So I think it's a combination that he was using, a combination of what his father taught him and what his mother taught him.
I think there's room for it to grow, because he didn't even get them until like the end.
He didn't even scratch the surface on them. Yeah. He doesn't know what they're doing.
Exactly. So there's a lot of room for them to grow there. I'm still kind of disappointed. Not in a big way. I just think it would have been cool to see like the Mandarin from the comics, but it's something that couldn't have happened fighting off against like Iron Man or something like that. That's a missed opportunity from Iron Man 3 and the fake out Mandarin there, because that's what they were building up to. And we can talk about the fact that Trevor Slattery was in this, but also like in Iron Man, they started out, if you were a passionate fan back in those days too, they're setting up like Iron Man. He's taken by the 10 rings. That's like, dude, they're setting it up. That payoff, they've tried to course correct now, but this was not like the plan. Anyone that says like this was the plan since Iron Man 1, you're an idiot. And like Iron Man 3 was definitely, they used a classic Iron Man character as the setup for the previews and then subverted expectations. And, well, guess what happens when you subvert everyone's expectations? They don't necessarily like that. Like, fans don't necessarily like being played for a fool unless like you get enjoyment out of it. But just being like, I was expecting this character and you made a complete owner of him. And that's what it was. Iron Man 3 was the first Ralph Boner. He's like, I'm the Mandarin. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh,
just
hello.
kidding. Ha ha ha.
Trevor Slattery. I'm Ben Kingsley. Oh yes, famous actor. Oh, they got me for this role to get everyone excited. Oh nope, sorry, crack a beer. Oh.
You know, I was.
What'd you think of him in this movie though? Because
I was honestly wondering why Disney Plus brought back the one shot for the All Hail the King. I mean, I was assuming, well, it's because Shang-Chi is going to have the Mandarin in it or some reference to the Mandarin, so they need to show this. I was not expecting him to be completely. He was hilarious, but he wasn't overdone. I mean, the whole bit with Morris, whatever the crap Morris was.
Yeah.
But that guinea pig with wings or whatever it was.
With no face.
and then the one scene, and I was dying, was when he was laying there like he was dead, and Morris comes up and is sniffing him, and he's like, "Lay down and play dead. I'm acting. Can't you see that?" Oh,
and that
hilarious.
was a good utilization of the character.
Yeah.
That they made him, but that's also like their fault for making that character in the first place. And again, Iron Man 3 came out in 2013. So if you think during that movie they were setting up Trevor Slattery for this, no. They just know exactly how big of a face plant that whole thing was. And this is their way of kind of like course correcting on that.
Honestly, if I could go back and find out for sure, I would. But they probably made Iron Man, because the one shot, the All Hail the King, that didn't happen until we didn't see that until the Iron Man 3 came out on Blu-ray.
The All Hail the King one shot came out in 2014. So
yeah, so that my guess would be that at some point Marvel looked at it and said, we did kind of screw the fans on this, and they're screaming about it. We need to do something to fix it. And so they did the one shot to say, okay, we can come back and revisit this later on somewhere else.
Marvel exceeds, and Disney Marvel, they love to take fan theories and just be like, yeah, that's what we did. They don't do it every time by any stretch of the means, but if there's one that's convenient that works, they're just like, yeah, we did, because we're rock, because we're Marvel. Yeah, that's Spider-Man and Iron Man 2.
Iron 2, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Sure, why not? That's literally the response they got. They were like, sure, why not? And people are like, they're amazing. They planned it. Look, they put Spider-Man in this. I'm like, no. They said, sure, why not? Because just to appease. Okay.
That script probably said kid number 1.
Kid wearing an Iron Man mask because it's an Iron Man movie, because Spider-Man wasn't owned by Marvel at that point. So if you actually did do that, and that is officially Spider-Man in there, Sony can sue your ass. So yeah, no, it wasn't official, and that's not Spider-Man, but yeah, sure it is. Why not? Headcanon's great, people, but
sounds good.
So yeah, Marvel loves to do, if they can act like something was planned all along, and they were just like, well, yeah, look, there's Trevor. Finally got an answer to his story. It's like, no, we didn't ever want that. We just wanted the Mandarin. So
I liked how they played it off too, to where he said somebody, the dad was talking and was saying, oh, somebody even tried to use, but they changed my name to Mandarin. They changed my name to a Chinese dish, to a chicken dish or something like that.
And that's why I'm also wondering if they're setting up the possibility of another actual Mandarin, because it doesn't look like Shang-Chi's got like the rings at the end. They're like studying them. So maybe who they called is actually going to show up, be the Mandarin, and wield the 10 rings. And then he's going to, well, I don't know. I have no idea I have no idea where they're going to go with this.
You don't think his sister will turn into the Mandarin?
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Slattery is Mephisto. Mephisto confirmed. Do you think his sister's going to turn into the Mandarin?
Because supposedly she was supposed to shut down the operations, but it looked like she was in pretty much control there at the end scene credits.
I just wonder if she'll take that title or not. But that would be interesting. But again, the main thing about the Mandarin, as far as most, again, I'm not like a super comic nerd, but what do I know about the Mandarin? Oh, Mandarin, the 10 rings. That's, so if you take up that title, you should have to have something to do with that. Again, that's why in Iron Man 3, it was such a disappointment. Not just because it was like a fake out Mandarin, but like there was literally the rings, the whole thing you were looking forward to was just like a gotcha.
Oh, and something else too, and we laughed about it, was was Wong fighting the Abomination in the cage match, and we were all kind of like, oh yeah, that's Wong, because you can see the back of his head and it looks. And then he was there, and I was like, oh, it really was him. Okay, well, there you go.
They had confirmed that it was him actually.
Oh, okay,
yeah, but the first time it came out, there was tons of speculation, and I remember that week when we were watching the trailer for the first time. It's like, is that Wong? Wong confirmed. Wong's Mephisto. Mephisto confirmed. It's like a blurry shot of the back of his head. That's what I was saying again. I was like, you just get the shot of the back of anyone's head and compare it to whoever has the same hair color and hair length in the Marvel. You're just like, look, it's them. They're back. Just like Lady Loki and Black Widow on that planet, where it was like, is that Black Widow? It's like, well, they've got the similar hairstyle. Black Widow confirmed.
Well, what I thought was really interesting was how Wong and Abomination went back to the
together.
Yeah,
they left together. They seemed to be
buddies.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, what is going on there? And speaking of Abomination and Bruce Banner, who's in the end credits, they're both slated to be in She-Hulk.
So good.
It could have something to do with all of that. Did we get confirmation on how long after like the events of Endgame this movie takes place?
See, I'm wondering about that, because Banner was in the end credits, but he was Banner.
He's still got his sling on.
But he's got a sling. But he wasn't.
So is
Hulk.
that a new injury, or is that the same thing? But yeah, and again, why isn't he Smart Hulk at least?
Why isn't he Professor?
Well, maybe
Hulk
it was after Infinity War, because they
maybe
I forget
it was between
who it was. They said something about half the people being snapped or disappeared or whatever. So I'm thinking after Infinity Wars, but maybe before Endgame.
So you're saying this could potentially be before Endgame?
Mm-hmm.
Set in the 5 years. 5 years.
I was just confirming that.
I had to do it.
I'm curious. I mean, we've got so when does She-Hulk happen? Is that next year sometime?
Next fall?
Is it next fall? Yeah. So maybe that plays into it. Maybe we'll get our answer there. Is we'll have the She-Hulk happens and Banner and Hulk have split, and Banner's his own person now, and Hulk is his own thing, and and
how would that happen?
I don't know. It's Marvel. They'll figure something out.
Well, he built a device.
Yeah.
I call it the people aparter. What it does is it takes the people and it aparts them.
If you've got multiple personalities, it splits them up.
And I tried to leave an answer on our answering machine and it exploded.
And something else too, man. My head hurt because I saw a commercial for it this morning. I was watching TV and it said, go see the movies that critics are calling the greatest superhero movie of the year. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're comparing it to Black Widow's the only other one that's released at this point. Yeah. So look what you're comparing it against. Carnage hasn't released. Eternal hasn't released. Spider-Man.
Really, not really a superhero movie.
Not really a superhero movie, but I'm looking at it going, what are you comparing it to? Nothing's released.
I saw someone say, they were like, oh, I just saw Shang-Chi and it's better. It's the best Marvel movie it's the best Marvel movie I've seen since Endgame. And I was like, so it's better than
Black Widow,
delayed and now dead in the MCU, Black Widow and European Spider-Man, because Far From Home is the only other one. And while I enjoyed that movie, it's not like a standout amazing film. I don't think, even among Spider-Man film. I mean, it's entertaining, but it's not like a really amazing. And so there haven't really been any other film, and now we're jam-packed with tons coming up immediately. We had this one, we've got like Eternals
in November and Spider-Man in December,
and then Doctor Strange in March. which isn't really that far when you consider like all of 2020 was
nothing.
And it'll be interesting to compare now that we've had the shows come out, we have the movies come out. We're going to be, when we talk about connecting the dots, it'll be interesting to see just how much the shows actually impact the movies and vice versa. You know, I definitely think it's going to be more than we had during like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Netflix days. There's going to be more connection than that, but I still maintain that they're going to, you know, have the movies be accessible standalones by themselves while still having, and that's part of the thing. You know, when you're talking about people leaving during the end credits, the only thing the end credits really do is serve to make that most defining connection, usually either to the next film in the series, like if it's Iron Man, then to Iron Man 2, or possibly to like the Avengers initiative or like a team up thing, which is what this did. And if you don't care about that, if you're like, well, I can read about that later, blah blah blah, it's just a little, then maybe you get out of there. But the whole the spectacle that you came to see, that's the film itself. And I think people enjoy, like the general audience, they have a harder time with the shows than they do with just a movie. Because the Marvel, would you agree with that? Like the Marvel cookie cutter formula, it's a great formula, and it gives you usually a pretty great film if you know how to set it up. The shows have kind of taken a little bit different you had WandaVision, you had Falcon Winter Soldier, you had Loki, kind of going different directions. Loki, a lot of people were expecting like him to be just like in the films, but he's more of like a detective. It's more of like a paranormal type thing. So do you think like they're going to keep getting their widest audience with the movies?
Well, yeah, because of your Homer Simpson thing. People want action and seats with beverage holders, but mostly action.
Hey, Nostra, dumbass. Did the rapture come?
Oh, wait, that's the other one.
Are you kidding me? This baby is off the charts. Why?
Oh, a sarcasm detector. Well, that's a really useful invention.
No, that's not the right one either. Anyway, go on.
But, and two, something else. I mean, what was it he said in the first Deadpool movie? He said, and now we have the CGI superhero battle. And when that demon thing popped up out of the mountain and the dragon was flying around and they started fighting each other, I was like, oh, there it is.
There you
CGI
go.
superhero
battle. That's one of my favorite things about Deadpool, too, is like even in the opening credits, when they were listing, like, you know, when they would normally say like the actors' names and stuff like that, they listed like a completely CGI character, an overblown fight scene at the end. And it's just like, it's the self-awareness of that. And the reason why that's funny is because that formula actually does work for the most part. It works. That is the formula. They're just pointing it out. It's not, he's not even wrong. And that's what happens in that film too. It's not like he's making fun of those other superhero films where they do that. No, literally, that's happening at the end. Here's the opening credits scene where we tell you this is what's happening at the end of this.
It's gonna happen. Here it comes.
Right next to a huge steaming bowl of foreshadowing. This Coloron, my superpower is just unbridled cancer. Give me a bow and arrow, I'm basically Hawkeye.
Thank you, Grant. Thank you.
Nice Legos. Gotta go see that movie. Yes, I recommend it. Homer Simpson is the everyman. Perfect. Yeah, Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi. I keep wanting to say Shang because I look at it and I think Shang.
Well, it's Shang,
like dang.
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, Shang.
Because his name is I
his
guess
name
it's
is
Americanized name. Yeah, Sean, and it sounds similar, so it's Shang.
I was gonna say, if you want me to just say it by looking at it, make it SHU, and then I'll say Shang-Chi every time. But again, it's the difference between reading something and knowing how something's pronounced. I want to blend in like a chameleon. Sir, do you mean a chameleon? I'm pretty sure I know how to pronounce chameleon. I'd only ever read the word before. Yeah. So
I will say this.
I don't even want to tell you, when I was a kid reading Harry Potter, every time I came up to Hermione's name, I didn't think in my head Hermione. I was mostly like H-chick or Hermione or whatever. But I definitely did. It was when I saw the first movie. And someone said Hermione. That was the first time I heard her name pronounced apparently correctly, and I was like, "Who the hell is that?" Oh. I've sounded dumb in many conversations. But
I will say a shout out. I honestly I was concerned about Aquafina. Do I hear echoes?
I heard it. Well, took care of it.
There we go.
Your cat walked across again, so
yeah. But with the Aquafina, but honestly, she was hilarious. I totally enjoyed her. She was snarky and funny, but not like over the top to where it was annoying. So it was a good blend and a good. She wasn't quite. I mean, I love Darcy. Don't get me wrong, but Darcy in that second Thor movie was just completely. It was just like, all right, you annoyed me 5 minutes in. Mew mew. Shut up.
Yeah,
I liked Aquafina, but probably my favorite. I don't know if she was a side character per se, and that was Michelle Yeoh. I love Michelle Yeoh. She's probably one of the very few bright spots in Star Trek Discovery. I love her, and I thought she was great in this.
I think everybody was very well cast and played off of each other very well. I think that's what made the movie so entertaining, was that it was, I don't know, it was just it was like they cohesed very well together and made a decent movie.
I'd agree. Overall, yeah, entertaining film. Up there above a lot of the, I would definitely put it up there in the top 10 for sure of Marvel films. We're gonna have to see if they just, if it's just the special effects, they're just gonna keep getting better. But the fight scenes were really well done, which is something you would hope for in a film that's the main character is supposed to be the ultimate martial artist. You want to see that choreography be, and it is. And the MCUs have had pretty darn good choreography ever since Winter Soldier.
Yeah. And it was, like I said, it was beautiful. It was beautiful to watch. It was like watching them dance. It really was. And especially the scenes where the mother and the father were fighting each other.
That was elegant.
I'm sorry?
It was elegant.
Yes, it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. It was a sight to behold.
A sight to behold.
There you
go. Unless you guys want to mention anything else right now about Shang-Chi, we'll probably talk about it a little bit more next week again, once more people have had a chance to see it. And we'll hear the thoughts of our audience and what everybody else thought about it. But I think we're just about done for this week. You guys got anything else?
I'm good.
Alrighty. Well, I'm definitely looking forward again to What If. We got some more episodes of that coming out every week. We've got Eternals coming up after that. We've got Spider-Man coming up after that. We've got
Hawkeye.
Oh wait, Hawkeye in there at some
Hawkeye's
point.
in December
Hawkeye's
sometime.
coming up too. So we'll see what's happening there. Again, I'm the reason I like Hawkeye in like the MCU is mostly because of the humor that they put into that role, and like his self-awareness that like he doesn't really belong.
With this collar on, my superpower is just unbridled cancer. Give me a bow and arrow, I'm basically Hawkeye.
So, yeah, hilarious. But so like the training of his successor, to me, I was just like, he didn't even get his own movie. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
The interesting thing more is that Yelena from the Black Widow movie, her sister, she's going to be in it, possibly hunting Hawkeye again until they realize that she's on a fake mission and become friends. But she could be hunting them. And from the trailer that I've seen and from freeze framing stuff, it looks like we could be fighting some Skrulls or some who knows what's, but people posing as old ladies because Hawkeye is straight up beating up a grandma in one. Like I froze the frown. I was like, what is he doing to that old lady? And then I was like, wait, Captain Marvel beat the crap out of an old lady on it. So maybe it's a scroll, and that could be like leading up to Secret Invasion stuff. So there's definitely, if you're not necessarily interested in like the Hawkeye character and that type of thing, I think that's definitely going to be a show that's going to have some connections to the bigger picture for sure. And those are some things we got coming up. Let's see. It's not it's not Chia Pet. Shang-Chi. Thank you, Grant. We enjoyed doing it. We're back here every Monday at 9:30 Eastern. Johnny, I've yet to see Shang-Chi, and yet you were here the whole time. You went to see Free Guy? Oh, we got to talk about Free Guy. Ryan Reynolds is the man. Okay, well, we're going to have to talk about Free Guy maybe another time.
I was going to say, I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's on my list of things.
Well, when we have seen it, we're going to get together and talk about it because we all love Ryan Reynolds here. And because we're all sane, rational human beings with an eye for beauty. And with that in mind... we are out of here. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye, everybody.
Dubstep's pussies. You're so dark. Do you say no?